All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Series here at Chicagoland Speedway. Race distance tonight is 125 laps. Of course, right now drivers putting down their qualifying laps, but looking right now, ambient temp 74 degrees, track temperature though 111 degrees. So gonna be a little bit slippery there tonight in this qualifying run. So they'll have to keep an eye on that. Of course, second to last race somehow already this season. Things clicking by very quickly. So we'll pull up our standings going into tonight's event. And it's Nick DeGroot with a 24-point lead over Craig Forsyth and a 25-point lead over Scott Rankin. So pretty much a three-horse race for the championship at the moment. Unfortunately, might turn into a bit of a two-horse race depending how the rest of the season goes. It's unfortunate getting some info here kind of late in the going that unfortunately Scott Rankin under the weather may not be able to race tonight. So I do see him on track. I think maybe possibly looking at doing a start and park. We'll keep an eye on him over the course of qualifying and of course the race itself. But yeah, definitely thinking of you, Scott. Hopefully get back to 100% soon, and look forward to seeing you back in full health, man. So. And then a really tight fight here from fourth on back. I mean, look right now, you got Matt Wagner there with a 278 points. And then you go down to the sixth position there of Jeff Heisong at 268. So only 10-point difference between Matt Wagner, Jim Brooks, Jeff Heisong. Yari Brupacher not too far out as well. So a lot of points still for grabs here tonight. So yeah, we'll see what we have in store for us tonight. But Boomer, glad to have you back in the booth here as well. It's gonna be a fun one here tonight. It's a 1.5 mile oval, but I feel like a pretty abrasive oval, and with these Indy cars should be able to move around pretty easily here tonight. Try to find that clean air, and of course that slightly curved backstretch too. So might mean that white line might be the leader's best friends here tonight. But we'll have to see how the cars react here this evening.
Yeah, it'll definitely be exciting as this championship battle starts to come to a close here. Like you said, it's going to be hot and slick, and honestly, Chicagoland is probably one of my favorite 1.5 mile ovals that exist here in the States. Always fun to watch racing here. You can every once in a while you can get a couple lanes working, but definitely the bottom is going to be king, and we'll see those guys might have a handful with these hot track temperatures in the sun. So no matter what, should be a fun event, and looking forward to see how that championship battle shapes up with only a few races to go here.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, definitely. Looks like Sim is showing about 111 degrees track temperature. Like you said earlier, that's definitely warm. It's going to be nice and hot and slick for these guys to maybe even slide around a little bit in an Indy car. So definitely pretty treacherous. But I mean, if you look at the qualifying times here, we're pretty close. There's not a lot of gap from first to 15th. I mean, less than a hundredth of a second or so, or sorry, a tenth of a second between first and 15th. So it should be pretty tight. Should be a good battle, and with a few less cars in the field, should be.
And so it'd also help if I unmuted myself for half of that conversation. So rookie mistakes continue to strike on my end here, Boomer. But say with that though, say it's gonna be a fun one here tonight. So you're gonna have a lot of talent this evening with these guys up front. So again, I want to thank you all so much for supporting us here and watching at Green White Checker TV. Let's say 125 laps are scheduled race distance. Fuel mileage I was hearing probably in about the mid 30s or so. But of course, these cars have lots of knobs and dials they can play with. So we'll see if that comes into play, as well as maybe try to see if somebody tries to do some fuel mileage on these guys. Because it wouldn't take a lot. So I'm looking at the numbers here, Boomer. I mean, let's say with the 35 stops, I think that'd be a 3-stop race. Actually, yeah, I think a 3-stop race. But if they can get to about 42 laps, they could possibly get away with maybe trying to 42, 43 laps, maybe try to get away with doing a 2-stopper here tonight. So it'll be interesting to see if we go green, of course, what that fuel mileage strategy is going to be here.
Yeah, definitely probably a 3-stop situation if you're going to be, 3 stops, 4 stints if you're going to be going green flag here. But who knows, if we get a couple caution and people commit to the fuel saving strategy early, they may have a chance to pit one last time, keep that track position, and try to go for the win here.
Yeah, so we'll be definitely watching that here tonight. As again, Eric Schaus, Eric Peterson going to be our front row. And so, yeah, so if it's a 3-stop race, they need to go about 31, 32 laps on field. That should be no problem. However, if they want to try to risk that 2-stopper strategy, try to pull a rabbit out of the hat, they would actually need to be going about 42 laps per run. So that being said, would not doubt that some of these guys have already been doing those calculations, have that in the back of their mind. So I'm saying this is a track that can allow some pretty good racing, allow some pretty good green flag action. So we'll have to wait and see. But up front, though, it's going to be Eric Schaus, Eric Peterson. As they're going to come out of turn number 4 here, we'll see that pace car make that sharp left onto pit road. And that's going to hand things over to our race leaders. You see the flag up in the air. Let's say again, initial start on that green flag. So once that green flag drops, we will be down and away. And here we go. 125 laps here at Chicagoland, and we are green. A good start by Eric Peterson. Almost got the nose ahead and almost got around that number 72 of Eric Schaus. But Eric's going to have the short line there to his advantage as they go down the backstretch for the first time. As you also got Benjamin Combs here sneaking into the picture. Nick DeGroot right on the back wing of that 77 car as they head through 3 and 4 for the first time. So right now, Eric Schaus leading lap number 1. But right off the bat, here goes Eric Peterson. He's going to try to work that second lane, picking up some pretty good momentum here. And this is what we were wondering. Can you make that second lane work? And Eric Peterson showing that there might be some potential to this. It looks like it's getting some really solid momentum here. Again, right now, Eric kind of just living on that white line as best he can. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, though, out of that number 36 of Eric Peterson here.
Yeah, definitely. May not have the as big of a runs as we had last week at the 2-miler of Michigan, but there's definitely still some room out there to run on the outside, and who knows, patience may work out or may eventually pay off if you're continuing to work that high lane.
Yeah, it is going to pay off because Eric Peterson going to lead that lap in front of Eric Schaus. And you see behind there starting to jockey all over there. Benjamin Combs is looking to the outside. Nick DeGroot looking to the inside. So these guys starting to jockey for that track position right now. Now it's Eric Peterson leading the way in that number 36. Say with Eric Schaus behind him, second, Benjamin Combs third. So right now, not a ton of movement towards the very front of the field. A couple of our highest climbers, kind of towards the mid-pack here, the 51 and Jim Brooks. He's gained 5 spots up into the top 10. And then Thaddeus McMurray in that 37 car also gaining 4 spots up into the 13th position. And so we also, again, talk about our championship contenders. You got Nick DeGroot right now currently running in 4th in that number 89 machine. Craig Forsyth just a little bit back there in 6th. And then, of course, we mentioned Scott Rankin, again, under the weather, but looks like going to try to fight it as long as he can. So, again, hats off to Scott here, just trying to tough it out. It's never easy to race when you're under the weather, especially when you're starting to feel really bad. Big slide there by Nick DeGroot, able to just get in front of Yari Brupacher, but these guys up front are being really racy here early on.
Yeah, definitely. Still a long way to go, but some urgency to maybe get to the front and at least maybe get those points for leading laps and at least have that position to be in the front and keep that track position.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's maybe where Nick DeGroot's thinking right now, is he wants to try to get that bonus points off of his checklist. And so we're going to hop on board here with Benjamin Combs just off the back of this fight right now in that top 4 positions. I'll say Nick's found his way up into second. I'll say that Eric Peterson, I think he's going to be enjoying that clean air up front, not wanting to give it up. But right now, I'll say Nick DeGroot, he's starting to make the move. He's trying to peek to the outside line. Just to his left, there's that 36 of Eric Peterson. Eric's going to hang on to it for now. But we'll watch as they come out of turn number 2. As we talked about the momentum shift, and we've seen it earlier. We'll see if Nick can do the same that Eric was able to do to Eric Schaus a little earlier.
Side by side at the line, but still the advantage goes to Eric Peterson there. Nick's still working that high line, trying to get around him. Definitely a little bit of momentum there. As you see, he actually
a little crossover there.
Yeah, the inside. Maybe this will be Nick's opportunity to lead that lap.
Yeah, this is looking pretty solid there for Nick. A good exit out of 4 should easily hold that spot. He will. So lap led for that number 89 machine. Unfortunately, unscheduled pit stop here for Mike Gibson, and it looks like a lengthy stop as well. So possible damage. Now he's down and away. So actually, no, about 8.7 seconds. So pretty normal actually now that I'm looking at it. But definitely unscheduled stop there for that number 5 machine. So we'll keep an eye on him as we go. But right now, unfortunately, that does put him a lap down as we run. But right now, though, making moves early here, though, is that 51 of Jim Brooks. He's now up 9 spots, working on trying to make it 10 and getting into that top 5. That 51 of Jim Brooks is definitely on the aggressive here early. And like when we talked about last week, it's kind of the same thing there. Was aggressive early and often, try to get his way to the front. And then just kind of the timing of some of those yellows and such didn't quite pan out for him at the end of the race. But definitely showing pace once again early.
Yeah, definitely. Not afraid again to hold that outside line right up against the wall, and seems like it's paying off so far. There's definitely been a few people that have been running up there that can make a go of it. I don't think you can run around the top every lap, every corner, but if you can get it to work to get that run to get to the outside and pull it down the back stretch or the front stretch, it's definitely a move to make some passes for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely been making some moves to get up there. As I've been watching this battle also for second between Eric Peterson and Jari Brubacher. So I've been watching my time and scoring, and they've just been going back and forth for the second spot. For one lap, it'll be Jari. The next lap, it'll be Eric. Say these two just aren't able to get lined up with who's going to be that second position for the moment. But again, I'm still thinking fuel mileage here, though, Boomer. I say, again, these guys up front, they're going to be in that 3-stop window. There's no question. And the crazy part about that is that we're not that far away from being about halfway into that fuel window to make that pit stop. So that's just how fast these laps cook off. About 25-second laps currently these guys are running. So the ones that I'm going to be watching are those that are just kind of confidently and patiently just cruising. And some of those that I would definitely expect to see up front, they're just kind of in cruise mode here. Matt Wagner in that 6 car is definitely one that stands out to me, sitting in 14th position right now from his 10th position starting spot. So I think Matt's got some fuel mileage ideas possibly in the back of his head in that number 6. I'm saying, of course, there's going to be some other guys that are definitely thinking the same further up the field.
Yeah, definitely. Some of those guys even back as far behind Matt Wagner, Joseph Morales and then the 60, James Watson and Joseph DeCiro. Still holding on to that draft, but definitely towards the back. So who knows, maybe they could be trying to save a little bit of fuel here and trying to stretch that out.
Yeah, so that's, again, we're going to be watching to see what those field numbers look like. As right now, say Nick DeGroot, there's no question what he's going to be doing. That's control this race. He's just living on that white line as best he can. But Jari Brubacher is going to try to make his life as uncomfortable as he can. Gets a big run out of 4. He's going to jump to the high side there. Nick's going to lead that lap, but we've seen that outside line has been prevailing over these last few laps. So can Jari make that move to find himself to the front here in that 49er? Can he do another crossover? Nope, he's going to pop back outside, as he's going to just nose ahead here down the backstretch. But again, not quite enough to clear. But you can see both drivers definitely leaving each other plenty of room. But I am seeing the groove starting to move up a little bit, though, Boomer. I've been watching from third on back. These guys all starting to move to that second, third lane here. So one of these cars might start the handling starting to go away a little bit, having them force them to kind of change where they want to be on track here.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how that shakes out and how it moves across the run, and if the track changes as the day goes on.
So right now, definitely 2 of our biggest battles right now for the lead and for third position. Nick DeGroot, Jari Brubacher, Jim Brooks, Eric Peterson. But not too far back here. We've definitely got some action going on a little further back. Scott Rankin's working with Jim Herrick here. This is just inside the top 10 right now. Let's say, you see a little further up there, you see that teammate of Jim Herrick, Craig Forsyth, still holding pretty solidly in 7. And it's saying Craig is a wily driver. We've chatted with him before in some races where he is able to pull off solid results. I mean, he's mentioned before about changing fuel maps and things like that. Basically every turn, every corner. So would not be surprised to see Craig kind of working some fuel numbers as well in that 27 car. So like I said, that's going to be the big question mark, I think, is when we start to see potential green flag pit stops. But the other thing I'm looking here is I think we got some baseball themed paint schemes here just in front of that 40 right there. Actually, he's kind of in the sandwich between them here. You got Alec Coates there in that number 3. I believe that's the, if I'm not mistaken, Chicago White Sox paint scheme on that number 3. So maybe you got the home jersey, away jersey here, because you got the 3 there with the white with black stripes. Then you got Thaddeus McMurray on the inside there with black with the white stripes. So kind of a fun little thing these guys have been able to put together here with those 2 cars. Right now sitting in 9th and 11th respectively here.
Yeah, it's always fun to see when you get different paint schemes going on, or I guess I don't know if you consider it liveries here in the open wheel world, but regardless, looking good out there tonight.
Yeah, so there's just so much originality. I know you and I have seen it from various leagues and various groups, and as well as between obviously our kind of where we know with the Xfinity Series on Monday nights with all the great paint schemes over there at Fuel, but then seeing some of these guys over here as well, and even just week to week they'll be changing and switching it up. But right now we've got pretty much about a top 8 breakaway, I guess you could call it, with Scott Rankin right now kind of being the tail end of that group. Because right now Jim Herrick in 9th, he's about a second off of Scott Rankin, still in the draft window, but let's say he's starting to lose that draft just a little bit, and so that makes this group back here a little more nervous. And I think we're starting to see that with Alec Coates starting to, he's under attack from Gary Corley there in the 7. I think Gary just grabbing that spot. Matt Wagner, we talked about him probably fuel saving, but it's that risk versus reward. You want to save fuel, but you don't want to lose that lead pack. And right now, like I said, that gap between Scott Rankin and Jim Herrick continuing to grow.
Yeah, definitely losing the pack is probably about the worst thing that you could do. But who knows? If you're still paying attention back to Mike Gibson, lap down in 18th place, he's been able to manage a gap in front of the leaders all by himself. They're not really running him down too quickly. So who knows? If you can get out by yourself, or if you are forced out by yourself by making a different fuel strategy, maybe you will have a chance to try and hold on. But yeah, definitely, if you can avoid it, you always want to be sure to not lose that draft. That's definitely your key to sticking with the pack. And obviously, 2 cars is better than 1 pushing through that air and cutting a hole in there for you.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm saying, speaking of cutting that hole for you right now, Nick DeGroot's still just a mirror full of Jari Brupacher. Jari's trying every which way to see if he can find a way to get around that 89, but right now just having to kind of live on the outside line. Nick's done a good job of holding the inside and keeping that momentum built up, and saying that's what it's going to take, I think, at times to be able to try to get these wins here, is to be able to do a little bit of both as he actually drifts up just a bit there off of 2, but Jari continues to stay committed to the outside line. Then Eric Schaus, Eric Peterson having a solid battle here for 4th between the 2 of them. And then starting to peek into that picture, though, Benjamin Combs and Scott Rankin, they're starting to creep in as well. Actually, Scott's making some big moves now, up 6 positions. Saw a little bit of a connectivity hiccups there, but looks like it's starting to resolve itself. But he is definitely, under the weather or not, he is making some big moves here as he's going to work his way, trying to get back into that top 5 now. All right, so we're going to be approaching lap number 30 pretty soon here. So again, we talked about that fuel window. So we're going to say, again, I believe probably most of these drivers are going to be definitely on the 3-stop window. So I do think some drivers on the outside in are going to be trying to pull that 2-stopper off. But what I can tell you, though, is that second gap that pack we talked about with Jim Herrick, he's starting to close that gap back in here. It's now down to about 0.6 of a second. So they're all starting to kind of find their way back once again together. So it's a spread out, but pretty much a 16-car lead pack here, from Nick DeGroot back to James Watson in that number 39 cars. Joseph DeCiro, he hits pit road here. I think a little early of a stop here, but I think that's just a strategy call here. Try to maybe do that little bit of an undercut, if you will.
Yeah, there's not going to be much possibility for undercuts because the fuel window is so close to being 3 stops. But you may go a few laps earlier, later, but not too much to play with there. But definitely want to be the first one on pit road and see if you can run these guys down a little bit while you have fresher tires to start.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it because I've been watching lap times. We mentioned Mike Gibson having to make that unscheduled pit stop. He's been regularly running about a tenth of a second or so quicker than Nick DeGroot. So, and he'd only had about, I believe, 8 lap fresher tires. So I think there is something to be said about that. And I think we'll see it now as well as we mentioned Joseph Tessero. He's just left pit road. As Alec Coates, he's hitting pit road here on lap number 32. And this is that window. If they're going to split this race evenly in 3 stops, this would be the time to hit pit road. But man, Scott Rankin, he is on the move right now. So he's now jumped up into that 3rd position. Actually, as I said, here comes our leader, Nick DeGroot. He hits pit road. And so I saw a pretty big moment there, it looked like, from Jim Brooks having to react to that. Maybe being 2x2 there was just a little tight for him. They do stay all in one piece here. So Nick DeGroot, our race leader at the time, he hits pit road, hands it over to Jari Brupacher. I think with Nick pitting here, the floodgates probably just about to start opening up here.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a few more start to come in here. Looks like we've got a couple. Looks like maybe the 77 is in this time and the 60 as well.
Yep, Benjamin Combs. Oh, we'll see a hot entry behind him. Yep, Benjamin Combs, you're right. He also, 60 is in. So that's now about 5 drivers that have made their green flag pit stop here. So again, that's the 3-stop window. Their bet is set. We know what they're going to be doing. The ones we're going to be watching now is, can anybody get into that lap 40 window? Jari Brupacher will not be. He's on pit road here, as are Jim Brooks, Eric Peterson. They come in side by side here. So far, so good. I'd say I'm pretty impressed with everybody hitting pit road well. Need to mention, importantly, Scott Rankin leads a lap, so bonus point check off for that number 156. Kind of puts him on level grounds now with Nick DeGroot there. So now we'll keep an eye. Say again, the other championship contender, Craig Forsyth, in that 27. He'll be wanting to do that. As now here comes that 156 Scott Rankin. He hits pit road. That's gonna bring also Thaddeus McMurray along, as well as Gary Corley. Now with Eric Schaus taking the point. So far, looking at pit stops, no penalties so far. So everybody's been minding their P's and Q's. No speeding on entry, no unsafe entries, no speeding on exits. So everybody's doing what they need to be doing here so far.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got a couple people that have stretched it out here to at least 36 laps.
Looks like we got a caution. We got a yellow. That's going to change everything here. Trying to find. I think it's the 40 of Jim Herrick. I think that may have been a pit entry gone wrong. Here's now he stops right at the entry of pit road. And that's going to trap a bunch of drivers a lap down here. So that's great news for those that did not pit here, Boomer. Eric Schaus, Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner, Jeff Heisong. Will put them ahead of the field and put them in a really good spot. So let's go back though and see what happened here with Jim Herrick that brought out this yellow.
Looks like he might have caught a little bit of the apron there and just slowing down too quick, and it just got light and went around on him.
So we'll back things up a little bit to try to take a look at that incident here. And yeah, you see Jim Herrick there. He's kind of straddling the apron there, and that's probably about the hardest thing for these Indy cars to do. And the issue there isn't the fact that he spun; it's the fact that right here you see the car just slides up across the track. And saying at some point you're going to see traffic heading right towards him. Does a really good job trying to hang on to just a little bit of contact with the outside wall there with the right front. But that spin in front of the field, that's what's going to bring out that yellow. So. That's the risk and reward there of kind of doing the aggressive fuel strategies and pitting. So what this does do is it brings Eric Schaus on in along with Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner, and Jeff Heisong. They're going to come out here and they're going to easily hang on to the lead. Jari Brupacher, he's going to be the winner of the Lucky Dog battle as he's going to get his lap back. And then from Jim Herrick on back here, I think Jim's going to wind up getting EOL, of course, with entering that closed pit under that caution. But yeah, from Scott Rankin on back here, these guys all going to have to take this wave around to get back one down. Or from one down to the lead lap, I'm sorry.
And I think most of them should be able to get the natural wave around because most of the guys that were on the lead lap did pit. So fortunate there to get back on the lead lap, but definitely a big break for those guys that stayed out. Eric Schaus, Craig, Matt, and Jeff at the front of the field. They're definitely going to benefit from it. So even if they were going to plan on doing the two-stop strategy and be aggressive on fuel, this will definitely be a good opportunity. Even if it forces them to pit earlier than they wanted to, you got to take those advantages when you can.
Yeah, so that'll be the next question: is can anybody possibly two-stop or one-stop, I should say, from here to the end? So we're going to be restarting just outside of lap number 40. So I'll say it's going to be about 85-ish laps to go, I think, on this restart. So I'll say that's going to put them in about 42, 43 laps. And so it's going to be right on the edge of the window that we had from the get-go. So it'll be interesting here. Of course, Yari, he's going to take advantage because he can go ahead and pit here without any loss of track position, because once those other drivers wave around, he'll line up, I believe, in about the 6th position here, maybe even 5th once Jim Herrick gets his penalty. So could actually put Yari in a pretty good spot here, just a little more fuel in those leaders in front of him, and still really good track position in that 49 car. So definitely a bonus of Yari getting a great in and out lap in that 49.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so what we're going to see here, though, say for Eric Schaus, you can see all these cars in front of him. The one driver that's a little bit off schedule right now is that 5 of Mike Gibson, again, pitting on lap number 8. But it looks like he's going to opt to stay out here and try to get that lap back and just kind of hope, I think, for that timely caution. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that number 5 machine. At this point, he's going to have to pit early, but here's some big strategy going on, though. You got from second on back here, Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner, Jeff Heisong, Jim Herrick. They are all hitting pit road to top off on fuel. So we talked about the strategy for Yari Brubacher. After all that's said and done, he's going to restart in second position after getting that lucky dog. So now, I mean, that's gone from even from good to even better for that 49. So I say this is going to be fun to see, because I mean, these guys are definitely, I think, showing their hand. The fact that they're topping off, to me, says we're going to try to make this on one more stop.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with 86 laps to go here as it sits, you probably could be close to that strategy. I don't think it's going to be too aggressive, like you said, about where we were to start the race to do the two-step strategy, but that definitely helps. And I think that there's definitely an opportunity to still do that. So we'll see. Definitely have to see how that shakes out towards the end. See if they can gain anything if we do go green for the rest of the way out.
Yeah, so this could turn into one of those races where it's a race to who isn't leading it kind of a situation. So Eric Schaus, Yari Brubacher, we mentioned them. Eric pitting under caution at 37. Yari pitting the next lap at 38 after his wave around. And then Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth and company pitting at 39. So as you see, here goes the 72 car. He's got control. He is down and away. Gets a good jump on Yari here. But say we'll have to see those guys from Scott Rankin on back. Again, had to take the wave around. And looks like a little bit of movement there further on the back, but looks like so far so good. I think that's Nick DeGroot being aggressive early, trying to gain as much track position as he can at the drop of that green.
Yeah, definitely. Your biggest advantage to making up spots is right on these restarts here, and if you could be aggressive and get up there, get on the wheel, get your elbows up, it definitely helps, because the field's never going to be more bunched up than they are right now.
Yeah, when to go back to look at what with Nick DeGroot there, I say, yeah, Yari Brubacher, he was aggressive. He takes the lead here. So move Eric Schaus back to second, Craig Forsyth to third. I say I'm watching Matt Wagner. He's dropped off a fair bit off of Craig Forsyth. So again, the 27-6 cars, they're on the same strategy here, but there's again a significant difference in track position for those two right now, because if Matt Wagner tries to catch that 27, he's going to be burning a lot of fuel. But what I'm seeing right now is I think Matt's going full in on this fuel save strategy, because he just looks like letting these guys on by here now behind Scott Rankin there in that 156. Nick DeGroot now trying to threaten him for that spot as well. So I think some of these guys are definitely hedging their bets on trying to make this thing on one more stop.
Yeah, and I think with what we restarted with, I believe 85 to go, then at that point, if you split that up into 3 stints or 2 stops, that's around what, like 27, 28 laps. So that's definitely a lot less than what you can go. So at that point, it might be a little aggressive to pit more often, but you'll have those fresher tires for longer. So obviously, we did see that cars that had 8-lap fresher tires were able to be, 10th or so quicker per lap, which over the course of a long run does make up quite a bit of ground.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, I need to mention Mike Gibson. Looks like he's just hit Pereira. This one definitely we'll have to keep an eye on, but looks like you say he's going to put him back down a lap, unfortunately. So not sure on the strategy there. Not sure, maybe some damage or some wall contact to that 5. But he's getting service done to that car, which at this point would again is going to drop him back down one more lap, kind of like the initial start, honestly. And yeah, he's back down and away, normal 9-second stop, so nothing out of the ordinary there. But right now, what we got here is, as I said, we've got a train of cars, and as I said, I think what we're seeing right now, though, is with Yari leading Eric here, I think this again kind of shows a strategy here, because I think Craig Forsyth, I really like where this 27 car is sitting. He got a good restart. He got right up onto the rear wing of these guys up in front of him, and then he's pretty much just, I think, kind of parked it and putting in cruise control here, just trying to save every drop of fuel here, but while still maintaining pretty solid track position as well. So I think once we see Scott Rankin and Nick DeGroot, once we see them get to that 27 car, I don't foresee Craig fighting them too hard here. So, but again, Matt Wagner on that same strategy, he's dropped again about 7/10 off those two of Scott and Nick here. So, and we talked about the championship battle. We got Craig there, 3rd, Scott in 4th, Nick in 5th. Those were our 3 championship leaders coming into tonight. So they're all once again found their way together here in 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, definitely a tight battle for these championship leaders. As you see, they catch this top 3 here.
Yeah, and they're saying there definitely seems to be a little bit less aggression, less sense of urgency, I guess you could say, from these guys second on back. Like I said, I think for Yari, he just said, you know what, I'm going to lead laps and kind of let the chips fall where they may. I feel like from Eric Schaus, Craig Forsyth and company, I think they've kind of gone on that same thought process, like, hey, we might be able to make this field number work here. As the 10 now, Joseph DeCiro, he hits pit lane. Also, I believe an unscheduled stop for that 10 car. So starting to put a couple drivers again once more a lap down here. As I was saying, I think the other thing we're going to see here is with Nick DeGroot there, again, there's no fuel savings for him. He was one of our earlier pitters. He cannot make it a one more stop. There's no way with that wave round he had to take. So I think we're just going to see full aggression out of that 89 car. And so for Craig, again, he was on the outside looking in on the points entering tonight's race. So that fuel mileage, I think, would be his best bet. Just try to do something opposite of those of your competition. See if you can catch them in a bad spot on the fuel mileage.
Yeah, and looking back, it looks like Joseph DeCiro might have gotten to the wall just a bit there. So
yeah, and it looks like actually a retirement as well. So unfortunately, that's going to be night over for that number 10. As right now, got about a 6-car breakaway. Jim Brooks had to really roll out of the throttle. There's Craig Forsyth, Scott Rankin fighting for 4th and 5th. But Matt Wagner, he is creeping back into that picture. Again, we've been focusing on just the 27 and 6 on the fuel mileage, but Jeff Heisong, the 18 car, he also topped off at lap number 39. And then as well as Jim Herrick, who has actually dropped a fair bit back here in that 40 car. So I'm a little more nervous about this because when you lose the draft, even on fuel savings, you're going to burn a lot more fuel. So I'm not liking where Jim is here, unfortunately, as he's over a second behind Joseph Morales in that 60 car. So while Jim, again, he topped off, but I feel like losing the draft as bad as he has may be a hindrance for him as well. As I say, now you see Scott Rankin trying to work over Craig Forsyth for the 4th position. And again, I don't suspect we'll see Craig fight too hard here. I think he's just, again, I think these guys are kind of on different race strategies here.
Yeah, and it looks like Jim was got a little bit of a run to come back in within the draft, so he may not have completely lost it, but definitely close there. He was over, I think he was like 1.3 seconds back, but hopefully he's still able to stick with them and play out that strategy. But yeah, definitely, if you're going to be saving fuel, you definitely want to be as far forward as you possibly can. I mean, obviously, you want to be as far forward in the field as you can at all times. But if you're going to be doing that longer strategy, it's definitely going to help. That track position makes such a huge difference, especially when you're coming in and out of the pits. You don't realize how much time 2-3 seconds makes up in track position. So
yeah, exactly right. And especially when, again, these guys going, I was saying, actually, let's find out how fast these guys are going. We'll pull up the speed here. As you see Craig Forsyth down to about 210 through the turns here as they head through the straightaway here, picking up to about 223, it looked like, in that 27 car. And again, I think that's with Craig not really showing the full steam of that number 27 at the moment. So yeah, so like I said, a couple seconds when you're going 220 plus is definitely going to make a big difference in the fuel numbers, and of course track position wise as well. So and you're exactly right as well. If you can be up front and controlling the pace of this race, or be in that group here, you can be saving from the get-go. Like I said, if you're further back, like we mentioned, like Matt Wagner was at one point, Jim Herrick, you're gonna have to burn fuel to catch back up to that draft. So that's what I've been really liking about Craig, is he's been right up front with these guys, in the thick of things, pretty much from the drop of the green. So he hasn't really had to make that aggressive push to get back to the front. And so that's why I kind of feel like he might be in the catbird seat if he can keep that fuel number where he needs to. And I'm saying again, he's a very calculated driver. He's usually able to hit those numbers that he's looking for, making so many adjustments just throughout the course of the race, turn by turn. So I definitely am liking what I'm seeing out of Craig here. But again, we're still got lots of racing to go. Still not even quite at the halfway point. So the question will be, yeah, kind of who blinks first on the pit strategy. And the other thing we could see, Boomer, is maybe these guys that do have to make that two-stop strategy, only one of those stops is going to be need a full fuel load. The second stop would probably be just a little splash of fuel. So if they can really kind of try to break that draft or force the pace of the race fast enough, try to run these guys out of that fuel save window.
Yeah, we will have to see, and it'll definitely, if it goes green, there'll definitely be some differences in strategies for the rest of the race. Obviously pretty clean so far. Really the only caution coming from the one spin coming to pit road. So cool to see all this side-by-side battling be pretty clean so far.
Yeah, I know. So that's kind of what we come to expect of these guys here, is that aggressive but clean racing. So I'll say while things are, I wouldn't say calm, but while they're kind of spread out just a little bit for the moment, let's run through the field here. That way we can see where your favorite drivers are currently on track, which right now our leader is Nick DeGroot, our points leader entering tonight. Next to him is Jari Brupacher there in the 49 in second. Third, Scott Rank, again under the weather but fighting hard here, trying to keep himself in championship contention. So definitely, again, just hats off to Scott for doing everything he can to try to keep himself in there. But hopefully, as I definitely want his health to be the priority, so hopefully he's doing all right there in that 156. Eric Schaus in fourth in that number 72 car, also one of those wave around drivers. And then Craig Forsyth, the first of those to top off on the one to go. He was in the top 3 in points coming into tonight, so he's trying to work some fuel magic to see if he can make that championship lead drop a little bit over Nick DeGroot. Jim Brooks there in 6th position, also one of those wave around drivers. And then Matt Wagner there in the number 6 car, trying to do some fuel mileage magic as well here in that number 6 machine. In 8th, you've got Jeff Heisong, also one that topped off on that one to go. And you got Thaddeus McMurray in 9th in that 37 car. And rounding out our top 10 at the moment is the 77 of Benjamin Combs. And then right now, battle for 11th spot is Eric Peterson, just getting around Gary Corley there. That drops Gary Corley now back into 12th. And 13th will be the 3 of Alec Coates. Joseph Morales in 14th position, in that number 60. And Jim Herrick mentioned him a little earlier, trying to save some fuel, we feel like, in that number 40. He sits in 15th. And right now, last car on the lead lap is the 39 of James Watson here in 16th. And then Mike Gibson, again, a little unscheduled pit stop for him, puts him 1 lap down, but he sits in 17th right now, the only car one down. So say if we get that yellow, he should be the beneficiary of that. So that is our field at the moment as we get back to the front as Nick DeGroot continues to lead. And actually, need to mention, Alec Coates, he hits pit road as soon as we were talking about that. This is at 66 here. They last pitted around, again, about 30s or so. So a little early pit stop, but I'd say this might be that splitting it in thirds like you talked about there.
Yeah, definitely would be almost exactly 2 stops in between the last caution, as I believe he ran about 29 laps there on the most recent run.
So Alex going for the short pit strategy, try to shorten the pit stops on tires and fuel. About an 8.3 second stop. Like I said, there's going to be 2 trains of thought for these 2 stoppers. One is going to be exactly there what the 3 did, basically split it evenly, come in early, and then tires and fuel come in again. Tires and fuel. Others are probably going to try to run it as far out as they can, and then probably do a splash of fuel on their final stop. As you see right now, Nick DeGroot, they're still leading Gary Brupacher here, our top 2. But again, I'm still, I try not to be biased here, but I've really got my eye close on that 27 to Craig Forsyth. again, I really like the field position that he's in. I think he can make something happen here. The big question mark is going to be, it depends on when the leaders pit. If he winds up having to lead too many laps, actually here comes Nick DeGroot, an early stop for that 89 car. He's going to be doing the same strategy we just talked about. Pretty similar to that number 3 car, and also bringing in Benjamin Combs and Joseph Morales along with him. I actually thought Nick would stay out a little later here, but that was what I was about to mention, though. If these guys pit early, if Craig has to lead this field, that could put Craig in a much different field window compared to if he was able to steal the stretch from these leaders.
Yeah, and we'll see how these guys shake out. Yeah, we'll see how these guys shake out. Alex Coates, our first to pit there, is about 2 tenths faster than just about anyone else in the field right now, maybe a tenth or so. So definitely using those fresh tires to his advantage, even though he may come out just behind the 89, somewhere between the 89 and the 77 as they come off a pit road here.
Yeah, but the big surprise to me there is this Craig Forsyth hitting pit road. I thought for sure he'd be going ahead and doing that, running it late there, but we talked about those leaders maybe trying to build the pace and make it a little bit faster than Craig wanted to, maybe pulled him out of that one-stop window. So that's one driver that topped off that now cannot make it on that one-stop strategy. Now, of course, he can make it on one more stop to the end once he gets that window. But yeah, a little surprised to see that move from him, as Jim Brooks, he hits pit road as well here, coming at 54 to go. So everybody's starting to, again, I think everybody's starting to try to make that decision of when to make this pit stop. So I personally, I don't know what the tire wear is looking like for these guys, but I kind of like the idea of running this stint as long as you can. I never like short pitting in these Indy cars. I like running this thing as far as you can, and then as soon as you're in your window, Scott Rankin having to save that car, he's going to hit the pit cone, but I don't believe SA, usually the pit penalty is on the outside. You see he's trying to shake the cone off. SA, he's done a good job of doing so. It's going to cost him just a little bit of time on entry there. I don't believe that's an unsafe pit entry, as he was on the inside of the outer cone. Don't know if there's a rule for hitting the inner cone there, Boomer, so we'll have to really keep a close eye on his pit stop time.
Yeah, we'll see if he has to come back down here and serve a penalty or not, because that will definitely be pretty disadvantageous for his night here. So actually, even looking back, it looks like the 39 of James Watson attempted to come down to pit road a couple laps ago and just misjudged his speed, but thankfully he was able to pull out and back onto the racing surface and avoid a pit penalty. So look for him to potentially go an additional lap down. It looks like we have a caution out on the speedway.
Oh, and it's once again
Scott.
Yeah,
Rankin.
Scott Rankin again. Yep. And I can say safely that he was not going to get a pit penalty, because he had a clean entry now. It's exit, but it looks like maybe just a little aggressive on the throttle, and looks like a little bit of left rear damage to that 156 as well. That thing definitely starting to crab walk a little bit, so that's going to put us under yellow once again during our pit stop cycle. And again, those that did not pit, again, are big winners here, which it's pretty much the same 4. Again, Eric Schaus, Matt Wagner, Jeff Heisong, Jim Herrick. I think those are the same 4 as before.
Yeah, exactly, in that order, yeah.
Let's go back and see what happened here to Scott on that pit exit here in that number 156.
Yeah, it looks like he might have just tried to get too much too soon, just trying to get back into the field and merge up, and unfortunately, he just got too aggressive, and around it goes. Those tires are a little cold when they come off a pit road, that's for sure. Yeah,
you're exactly right. And yeah, you're right. Just goosed it a little early. And I think he probably saw in his mirror there. You see Craig Forsyth and then Nick DeGroot there. They were right there. And then this is where the left rear damage comes in. Unfortunately, pancakes the outside wall there. So that's where his damage came from there in that 156. And then you can see he just kind of holds it up against the outside wall to keep the field from making contact. So we'll jump back live, though, because we have pit stops underway. Eric Schaus leading the field to the pit stops, as he's going to be in along with Jim Herrick and Matt Wagner and Jeff Heisong, as they're starting to already roll out of pit road. And looks like Eric's going to win that battle off of pit road. And then we talked about last time the big beneficiary of the lucky dog being Jari Brubacher. This time around, it's going to be Craig Forsyth. And this is a huge break for Craig, as I believe the second car line was most likely going to be the 89 of Nick DeGroot. So it's going to keep Nick trapped around and have to do the wave around once again. So it puts Craig on the kind of a step above that 89 car here. So the timing of these cautions have been absolutely just perfect for some and terrible for others.
Yeah, and that was definitely a huge opportunity for Craig, because if you're paying attention to the pit cycles, Craig actually came out ahead of Nick DeGroot under green. So whether he had a little bit quicker times in and out in his in laps and his out laps, or what, definitely huge, big advantage because now he bypassed Nick and is going to be the lucky dog to get on the lead lap without the wave around. So I'm sure most of them are going to take the wave around anyway, which really no harm, no foul at that stage. But definitely advantageous to still be able to pit under this yellow if you would like to and not have to take a wave around.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and yeah, it's gonna be like again, like almost like the lightning strikes twice situation. He's gonna hit pit road here, and he's gonna cycle out in about the top 5 position in that 27 car. Because like you said, from Eric Peterson here on back, these guys are all gonna take the wave rounds and have to restart behind that number 27 to Craig Forsyth. So, say for Craig, it puts him back on level playing grounds with Eric Schaus, Matt Wagner, Jeff Heisong, and Jim Herrick. But then it gives him just a teeny bit more fuel. But now at least we do know at this point, though, here, Boomer, there's zero questions about fuel strategy. These guys all have to go one more stop to the end.
Yeah, at this point, there's going to be, with 49 laps to go, you're definitely not going to be able to stretch that to the end. So definitely kind of puts everyone on even playing field, and fortunately for the guys who were saving and trying to stay out a little bit longer, gives them the track position. So far that's been the potentially the race winning strategy, but there's still a lot of time left and still one more pit stop to get through. So I guess the biggest interesting thing here would be that you could pit early, you could pit in the middle, you could pit late. So what are you thinking? What would you prefer to do? Would you rather pit early and run long in the last stint, or would you rather stay out and run a short final stint?
Man, with the way these cautions have been falling during the pit stop cycle, I'm saying pit late. I think you run full rich, you run aggressive, and you don't do any fuel savings. But I think you run this thing to the last drop, because you've seen now twice, as soon as that pit window opens, those guys that short pit are the ones that kind of get the short end of the stick. So I think you stay up in that top 2, top 3 ideally. But again, maybe you play a little bit of strategy where you do save fuel, but not by dropping back, but you just save kind of sitting in that second, third position. Maybe try to drop a map to a map 2, map 3, something like that, but not lose the main pack. So I really like, let's say, in where the drivers are here, I kind of like those top 3, top 4 drivers here. Like I said, for Eric Schaus right now, he's going to be, if he continues to lead like he is, say, again, he's got about 7 laps advantage over Nick DeGroot, who pitted at 68, Eric at 75. So even if Eric stays aggressive here and just leads all these laps, he'd probably still pit around the same time as Nick DeGroot, just based on the fuel levels here. So yeah, I say stretch it. I've always been kind of a proponent for running these things long. I'm just trying to catch that lucky yellow from time to time, and I'll say it's happened twice for these guys here. So we'll see what Eric does on this one.
Yeah, hopefully the luck doesn't run out, and maybe they can catch a lucky break or just stay green and take advantage of that track position.
Let's see, restart underway here. You see a bunch of drivers, they're trying to jump to the top side, get a good restart on those behind them. So right now, though, Eric Schaus continues to lead, but again, early aggression from these guys, and it is a pack there from about 4th on back here. You've got Nick DeGroot there, you've got Craig Forsyth, you've got Scott Rankin. I say Scott right now is 1 lap down. He's actually having to fight with that number 5 of Mike Gibson. Scott Rankin's actually up in the outside wall here. That is the last thing he needed there after having to take the fast repair. That is going to be night over, unfortunately, for Scott here. That's a heartbreaker for him, for everything he was trying to do to keep in the points battle, and saying just, again, fighting his own medical health there. So just being out of being sick here tonight. But we have another yellow here, and it's in the back. Oh, Thaddeus McMurray, Gary Corley, serious contact between the two of them. Almost the cars hooked together there, as Gary is going to have to take a tow. Looks like Thaddeus is going to be able to grab a gear and get going again. But unfortunately, I think enough damage was done to that 156 of Scott Rankin. That's probably the end of his evening here. So we'll keep an eye on that. But we'll go back. Let's see what happened to Scott, and we also got to try to see what exactly happened as well to this last yellow as well here.
Yeah, I definitely see quite a bit of damage to that number 37 machine of Thaddeus McMurray as he limps his way back to pit road. Definitely better to drive it yourself than to take the tow, but got quite a bit of front end damage, and that right front tire is wobbling all over.
Yeah, so I'm starting off over here. Well, so let's start with Scott Rankin. You can see he's actually got Mike Gibson there right to his inside, so that was part of the reason for the aggression, I think, out of that 156, having to try to stay up in front and beat that lucky dog position. and then we'll see where the contact was. And oh, it looks like Craig Forsyth may have, yeah, I think Craig just got into the left rear a little bit on entry there of that 156 car. So now just everybody was going for everything they had there, and unfortunately, Scott just at the wrong spot at the wrong time. And then we'll jump a little further back here to try to see what exactly happened here between Gary and Thaddeus. Let's say because they were just a little further back from this incident, so we'll pick up the pace here because that happened in 1 and 2. Let's say I know Thaddeus lost a little bit of momentum from that incident there. Oh, actually, Thaddeus trying to get an entry there actually drove up into the side of, I believe that's the 36 there of Eric Peterson. Yeah, it was, and actually Eric gets up into the wall. But then in trying to recover his car, Thaddeus just winds up going straight up onto the track and unfortunately right into the path of Gary Corley, just Gary, an innocent bystander there. So we'll have to keep an eye out, though, damage possible for Eric Peterson as well. So two quick incidents there between a couple of drivers and a championship contender as well. So definitely a big twist in the race here.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like Thaddeus McMurray was able to take that fast repair back out on the track, no problem. But we do have a couple retirements in both Scott Rankin and Gary Corley for the evening.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker, like I said, for Scott especially, who's having a really good run. What we do see here, though, is we talked about the fuel mileage and strategies and such are there. I don't think it's enough here at this point. I say we're still under yellow, but do we see any takers here? And we did see takers here. Actually, Nick DeGroot pitted there at lap 81, along with Yari Brupacher, Eric Peterson, Benjamin Combs, Alec Coates, and James Watson while we were watching that replay. So, man,
I don't know if they're gonna. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna have enough to stretch that for the rest of the race. But who knows? Maybe if we get a couple yellows here, they may be playing into their favor. If we get another quick yellow like this, I think you could stretch it from here. But you're gonna have to bank on that yellow. So interesting to see. It's definitely better if you don't have the track position to always top off. So no harm, no foul if you're not up in the front.
Yeah, I think, and I do also need to mention Mike Gibson in the 5. He is now back on the lead lap, getting that wave around in the number 5. But yeah, so right now Nick DeGroot in 8th, the first of those that hit pit road. And so right now, I say we're at 43 to go here. It'll be 42 at the 1 to go, which means we'll restart this race at 41 to go. And we've run the numbers, and it would be tight. You might be able to make 41 there. Do we see? I think we do see, but say how far up do we think we see the first driver that's going to top off on this 1 to go? I think we see our answer right here. I think Yari Brupacher here kind of making his intentions known here. I think he's going to duck on the pit road, I suspect, and top off. But as I say, he's going to prove me wrong. And so far,
looks like we might have 2 there at the very back.
Yeah, so Mike
the
Gibson
37 and the 5. Yep.
I like the call here by Mike Gibson because, again, he was the lucky dog. He was going to restart at the back anyway. He's going to fill up with fuel. And Thaddeus McMurray, unfortunately, 1 down. However, say if things play out right, that could put him in a good spot as well. So, so right now, it's pretty much everybody's going to still need 1 more pit stop. It'll be a short pit stop just based on when they last pitted and how long we've got left in this race. But this could get interesting here. I say we were talking about the fuel mileage a little bit earlier, so it might be tight for some of these guys that might try to play a little bit of some stretching on the fuel number.
Yeah, I think for the most part, just about everyone else in the field is going to be looking at 1 more stop here. I think the only 2 that would not be would be Mike Gibson and Thaddeus McMurray that just pit there on that 1 to green. So we'll have to see. Really, the only ones that have stayed out the longest have been Jim Brooks and Joseph Morales, each on 13 and 16 lap tires of fuel at least. So they definitely are going to be coming down for 1 more stop, but everyone else looking for 1 more as well. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. This is gonna be a lot of racing here to go and a lot of strategies here as well. So it's gonna be Matt Wagner leading the field back to green. As you see, he is down and away. Pretty good reaction there from second on back. So say everybody spread out a little bit, but that draft's gonna bring them all right back together here as they head back into turn 1 here, starting lap number 85.
Yeah, getting into the last quarter of this race here or so. Definitely going to start looking to see these guys be a little bit more aggressive. I should say last third of the race or so. Definitely looking to potentially pick up the pace more and maybe see a little bit more urgency as we get closer to that checkered flag.
Oh, and Mike Gibson in pit road. I'm wondering if pit lane, if he may have had, if he waited too long to hit pit road, because the way it works in iRacing is you have to pit the first or second time usually on before you hit your, if you're going to top off, because pit lane usually closes on the one to go. So I think that might be a 40-second stop and hold if I'm not mistaken for the 5, and if so, that's a huge hit. So he just keeps going from being on the lead lap to going down laps to getting it back, and it seems like nothing going right here for Mike here so far this evening. And so far, yeah, it looks like it's definitely a lengthy stop in that 5. So
Yeah, definitely.
this will probably put him we'll definitely put him 2 laps down here in the 5. Already 1 down. This will be coming around here. Will be that second lap, which will then promote Thaddeus McMurray to 14th. But then also will give him that lead, that lucky dog position being 1 down versus the 2 down for Mike. So yeah, heartbreaker here. But we got some new names here up the front here. Jeff Hysong just been kind of cruising, I feel like, early on, but I think now it's time to go here. You're starting to step that aggression up in that number 18.
Yeah, the 72, Eric Schaus, Jeff Hysong in the 18, and Jim Herrick in the 40 were all some of those guys that were taking advantage of staying out long and getting those lucky breaks to stay at the front of the field. So good for them to hold on to that track position. And looks like we see our leaders are actually going to put Mike Gibson a 3rd lap down here as he comes back out on the track.
Yeah, that's a tough spot for Mike there, unfortunately. So right now, Matt Wagner's leading the way here, and saying I feel like I'm a broken record, but the driver I'm watching still here, though, Boomers, is Craig Forsyth. Again, he got the lucky dog. He pitted on lap 76. But these guys from second on back, they just are looking kind of content here, just kind of cruise control, just stay right on the back of those guys in front. We're not seeing the big leapfrog. Matt's not having to protect the inside line. So I think these guys are thinking, hey, you know what? The shorter my fuel stop is, the better. And I think that's actually going to be the big question is, what do we see here for these pit stops? Do we see drivers take just the fuel only? Do they take tires? I think that's going to be a big make or break. And that's, I think, also an opportunity for Nick DeGroot here. Oh, as Nick gets tight there, Jim even tighter there off of turn 2. But Nick's trying to make good of those fresh tires and the full fuel here to try to get right back up into the thick of this thing here. Again, right now he's got about 5-6 laps more fuel on his car now compared to Jeff Hysong, Matt Wagner and company with when he pitted there.
And definitely some urgency from Nick as he was almost getting ready to lose the draft of the top 4 there. So he wants to have some urgency to get back up towards the front. Like you said, Jeff Hysong, Craig Forsyth, and those guys kind of in the catbird seat for their track position, but definitely leads everyone behind them. And Nick DeGroot and Jim Brooks in the 89 and the 51, and everyone back there need a little bit more urgency to maybe get to the front to get some track position in order to try and get back into this.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing is this is going to be one of the few times that Nick's actually kind of been on the offensive, really on the fuel mileage for once, kind of being on the right side of the number compared to everybody else. So I'll say this is his opportunity, I think, to try to, like you said, do you want to pit early, pit late? I think Nick, he wants, I think you pit late here. Like I said, I say pit late, and I think we're going to see a lot of fuel-only stops if we get to that green flag pit stop. So, of course, again, the pace of these Indy cars, I don't think it makes sense to do a fuel-only pit stop because it's just the risk of getting trapped a lap down, I think, is too high. But as odd as it sounds, though, I'm going to play devil's advocate with myself here, though, Boomer. Because, again, with as fast as these guys go, if you do pit and take a really kind of just a quick sip of fuel and then jump back out, you might be able to either A, get back out on the lead lap, or if you get out with the draft, you're going to still have a lot of pace versus if you come out on your own, you're going to be a little slower if you're then versus running with the pack. But right now, these guys are fighting tooth and nail as Nick DeGroot is rim riding that thing in the 89 car.
Yeah, definitely making a move there, Nick, to try and get back up to the front. So, yeah, we'll see. It definitely will be interesting to see when they pit. Looks like we've actually already got the 60 of Joseph Morales on pit road now.
Yeah, car looks clean here, so he's hitting pit road. Now, I'll try to keep an eye on his pit stop time because right now I can't really go away from this fight up front. These guys are going at it right now.
It'll be
interesting. Looks like 8.5. So that's 4 tires and fuel for the 60. And so you can see right there. I mean, he's already down a lap here. It looks like almost going to turn into about a lap and a half here. So I'll say that's going to be, again, that's going to be what some of these guys are going to be watching. Okay, hey, if I pit, where do I cycle out with those that have yet to pit? So that's going to be one of those things that these drivers are going to have to be very aware of.
Yeah, definitely. If you end up pitting, and it looks like we've got another one, Jim Brooks in the 51 taking pit road now. If you're going to be pitting off cycle with more of the pack, I definitely feel like you're going to want to take those fresh tires, because tires are going to make more of a difference, I would think, by yourself to run faster lap times versus in the draft. When you have the draft, obviously tires help you move around a little bit easier and have a little more control over the car, but definitely pitting by yourself. I don't see anyone not electing to take tires. And yeah, it looks like Jim Brooks is over 7.5 seconds on his pit stop there. So 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel to go the rest of the way.
Yeah, so I was saying once again though, that's going to drop him off that lead pack as well. So I do want to see, does somebody take the gamble to do a fuel only stop? And I'd say I like the potential of maybe doing that early fuel only stop. But I think these guys, actually Matt Wagner, he's going to be the next to hit pit road. And he's going to bring Eric Peterson along with him. It looks sketchy there for just a moment, but he's done a great job to keep that car underneath him. So the same Matt also in pit road. Again, these guys can go a little further should they choose to, but they're trying to do a little bit of strategy, go off strategy in these guys and try to see if they can kind of play a little bit of some gamesmanship, if you will. But I'm going to watch this 6 car, and that car is not jumping up on the jack here. So here's our first fuel only stop, 5 seconds for that 36 car. And say here comes the field here into turn number 1 as he's rolling off of pit lane now. So it is not quick enough there. That's our answer, Boomer. You cannot do a fuel only stop and not lose that and lose the draft there. So I was curious if you could do it. The answer is going to be no. So I'm going to kind of wipe that schedule or that strategy off my map now.
Yeah, so definitely probably more advantageous to take those tires and have that stability underneath you. But we'll see. Obviously, Matt Wagner and Eric Peterson are trying the fuel only stop, and it looks like just Matt and Eric. So, and see how it pays off for them.
Yeah, you're right. Eric Peterson also fuel only 5.5 seconds for him. The one thing that Matt has a chance at is I'm looking at the intervals here between himself and that 39 of James Watson. He's actually just on the edge of catching that draft of that car in front. Is actually Nick DeGroot. He hits pit road here. So another one of our championship contenders on pit road now, as that leaves Jeff Heisong, Craig Forsyth out on track. And I think with Nick seeing some of these drivers take fuel only, I think that's going to kind of force his hand. I believe we will see that 89 take fuel only as well, as he's still making his way to his pit stall. So now we'll see, does his pit stop, does it force any reactions? And so far the answer is no. But it is a fast stop for Nick DeGroot here, Boomer. 4.37 seconds for that number 89.
It looks like at least a half a second faster than anyone else. So great pit stop by his crew there, and he gets back underway onto the track.
Yeah, and also importantly here, Matt Wagner, he did catch some drafts of that car in front of him. So I'm going to jump over to that number 6 because here he comes. He's up to speed. Nick DeGroot here. It's going to be a battle between them, but Matt gets that spot here through 3 and 4. As here comes our other championship contender, Craig Forsyth. He's now hit pit road, saying Craig was a very aggressive pit stop driver, jumping into the pits, getting everything he can. So we'll watch to see what his pit stop time is as well. But like you said, though, it was a 4-second stop for Nick DeGroot, 4:37 for him. Matt Wagner was a 5:18. But Matt was able to get some draft to sneak ahead of Nick DeGroot, as Craig's already down in the way as well. And Craig went for some tires here, though. He went for 8.13 second stop, so that tells me 4 tires and fuel. But he's already working on his exit here. He might still be in a good spot here.
Yeah, he may actually be okay to pick up the draft, but if you look back, you can see the 2 guys before this stop by Craig here that took tires were Joseph Morales and Jim Brooks, and they're probably 2-3 seconds behind the 36 of Eric Peterson, who's probably 2-3 seconds behind the rest of the pack that have pit so far. So we'll see. Obviously, maybe a little bit fortunate there for Craig to come out with tires and with the pack. That'll probably be a huge benefit, as we know Nick DeGroot, who's racing around, did not take tires. So we'll see if that helps Craig be a little more confident in making moves as the race goes on and as those tires wear out with 18 laps to go here.
Yeah, this is going to get pretty dicey here right now. So say Craig has cleared the 39 machine of James Watson. So that leaves Matt Wagner next in line for him. As right now he is within a second of Matt Wagner, and he is closing that gap and closing it quickly. Nick DeGroot's actually gotten back around Matt Wagner for that spot. So right now, kind of the pit stop drivers, right now Nick in front over Matt and Craig. But like you said, though, Craig with the fresh tires here. So We'll see how much of a difference those tires make once it comes down to crunch time, because we still got 17 to go. And these guys, as I say that, Craig runs the fastest lap of the race there at 24.93, which is a half a second quicker than Jeff Heisong at 25.41. But again, the thing is, though, these guys are all one lap down right now, so a caution completely changes the complexion of this thing. So that's why these guys are running this fuel out as far as they can. The other thing that they're doing here, Boomer, some of these guys, if they continue to save and save fuel and stay in this draft here, they may not need a 4 or 5 second pit stop. They might need a 2 second pit stop, just kind of plug it in, did a splash, and run off again. I mean, that could be a big difference as well here.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were saying when we went back to green, you really didn't need a ton of fuel, but you will need a little bit to get the rest of the way. So we'll see how this plays out. Definitely advantageous for this pack of 4 cars here with Nick DeGroot leading the way just behind our lead pack here, as they, if they can make their way up to be, obviously, like you said, they're at least a couple tenths faster than the rest of the lead pack. They can make their way up to the back of that lead pack before the end of this, before the rest of them pit, may give them an opportunity to leapfrog them when it comes time to everyone else pitting, if there are no cautions.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the name of the game, is if a yellow and win. As right now, Nick still continues to lead that pack there, but Craig and right now Craig and Matt here are having a really big fight for this. I guess you could call it second place battle, if you will, as they're going to try to go 3 wide here through turns 3 and 4. But right now, as I think Nick's just trying to work the draft to his advantage here, but Craig's going to stay tagged on right to the back of that A9. Duty mentioned Benjamin Combs. He's hit pit road here in that 77 car. So it leaves us with about, I believe, 6 more drivers yet to make their final pit stops.
And we'll see.
And here comes one more. Jeff Heisong, he's in. Oh, he's loose. He's going to see, he catches the grass, but he's going to keep it off the racing surface. You see, he throws in reverse real quick, turns it around. Unfortunately, it's going to throw him out of the running for the race win here tonight, but keeps it under green. So it's a tough break for Jeff Heisong. And saying I've been there, done that, so I feel you there, Jeff. But yeah, so we stay under green here as we're down to 12 to go here, as we've still got, again, 5 more drivers yet to make their final pit stops.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe underestimating the heat in the track. We're still at about 112 degrees of track temperature, so definitely hot and slick. And honestly, all of our yellows have pretty much just about been from entering or exiting pit road. So definitely proving to be treacherous there today out in the sun.
Yeah, track temperature definitely has been a tough one here tonight. Importantly, though, Craig Forsyth, he's gotten around Nick DeGroot and Matt Wagner. So right now, Craig in 7th position, however, is the second car 1 lap down here. Alec Coates, he's made his pit stop, though, 5.8 seconds for that number 3. So we'll watch him as he's rolling out of pit road. And they say there's that group led by Craig Forsyth working to the outside as he has a little bobble, has to hang on to it. And that's the risk of a fuel-only stop. It makes those tires very angry here. But right now, Craig... Oh, and there it is. Caution is out, and I think it's the 40. It is the 40 of Jim Herrick. Yep. And say right on his pit entry. Tries to get it cut back down to the inside, but at that point, caution is out. Again, there are no green-white checkers here, so we'll still get a restart here, but it's going to be within probably about 5 to go. So now here's a big question, though. At the time of the caution, Thaddeus McMurray, he had not pitted. He's going to be our lucky dog here, which is going to trap Craig here in the 6th position, the second car 1 down. But here's my question, though. Yari Brewparker, Eric Schaus and company, if they can make it to the end, do they pit for tires or do they try to keep this track position? So it's only going to be three drivers here. So it's going to be the 49, the 72, and the 39. And there's my answer. And I think you're about to say the same. And they are going to hit pit road.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way I'm not coming if there's basically you're guaranteed to be no worse than 4th on that restart, and there's no penalty to take tires of fuel. Well, you wouldn't need fuel at this point. Well, maybe a splash of fuel at least, but definitely tires for sure. So you can see that they're all gonna come down and grab those.
So we'll go back and take a look at that caution. I said, unfortunately, Jim Herrick just. I say it looks like kind of that. No, I was gonna say kind of the identicals last time, but it was lower. It wasn't straddling the apron there, but you can see he does catch once he gets the apron, it just steps out on him completely, and you see great avoidance there. But I believe that's actually Thaddeus McMurray there, and that actually could have changed everything there, because if Thaddeus had gotten into that 40 of Jim Herrick, that would have actually promoted Craig Forsyth to our lucky dog driver. So. Great job by Thaddeus to avoid that. That's gonna promote him to the lead lap here as the lucky dog. He's gonna be able to get service done to that car, and like we mentioned, everybody else is gonna get a wave around. So he's basically gonna cycle this thing back out in that 4th position on this next restart. With Craig Forsyth and company gonna all have to take that wave round. And we talked about tires. Craig, one of the few that pitted there under green, taking tires. So these guys are going to be in traffic with old tires. So I'm not going to count Craig or any of these guys out yet because they're still going to be in great track position. But I do worry about Nick DeGroot, Matt Wagner, and those guys that will not have fresh tires. But it's going to be Jari Brupacher, Eric Schaus, and James Watson, our top 3 here.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe a little bit of a saving grace there for Nick DeGroot that Jim Herrick was that lucky dog candidate and was able to get that over Craig. But I think Craig's foresight, as if you will, to grab tires is going to maybe prove to be the most beneficial here, as he's going to have only 14 lap tires, where Nick DeGroot, I believe, has 45 or so lap tires. So definitely a big difference there.
Yeah, so we've talked about lightning striking twice before. How I say now, when's the last time we've seen something like this happen 3 times in succession? And again, I look at the drivers. I'm trying to keep in track as well. If these were also the same drivers that were able to benefit from this last time, being Jari Brupacher, Eric Schaus, James Watson. I feel like these have been the guys to run the longer fuel mileage every run this time, or this race, I should say, and have been benefiting from it. So. It's
I
one
know
of those,
for sure Eric has been in that pack and has been the lead of that pack. So, yeah, like you said, maybe lightning striking 3 times for Eric to give him an opportunity here to be lucky and have some great track position and fresh tires.
Yeah, and so we're going to be restarting this thing within 5 to go here, Boomer, and that's going to be big as well. As actually big story here is Craig Forsyth actually hitting pit road in the 27 car. I'm not sure about the strategy here because this is going to put him a lap down. And so say he won't get that wave round. So I'm not sure what's going on. Say maybe something else that I missed here. But Craig Forsyth hitting pit road there. So that, honestly, that's a big championship development as well, because at this point now, that moves Nick DeGroot up into the top 5 here. And now Craig drops all the way down to 13th position, back to 1 lap down. So maybe some damage that we weren't aware of, I'm not sure, but I think at that point you risk it, man. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll get a chance to interview him to find out what that was about either. But man, that's a tough thing
break
to happen here.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe had an issue with his mapping for his pit stop selection, and maybe didn't take fuel on his last stop, and who knows, maybe just needed to top off or something. But yeah, whatever it is, obviously maybe a big mistake there, whether it was hitting the wall or just not taking the fuel that he needed. A big mistake, and unfortunate there for him for tonight.
Yeah, so that's going to be a tough one for Craig. I don't see any recovery from that, because we're going to restart this thing with 5 to go. So at this point, probably the final restart of the race here as well, Boomer. Again, no lucky dogs here. As you see, Mike Gibson, he's dropping off track there. I think maybe just trying to get out of the front pack here as we get back to green. So this is the most, I think this is where Jari here is going to be the most vulnerable, though. So he's going to have to be aggressive here as we got 5 to go. So you just can't give up that big run off of turn number 2 to Eric Schaus here. So I'll say this could be the battle for the lead for the win here tonight.
Definitely going to be interesting to see as Eric tries to look on the outside here. Didn't quite get there, but he's definitely all over the back of Jari Brupacher in that 49 car.
Yeah, so he's got the run. He's going to peek to the outside at 4 to go, looking outside into turn number 1. And right now, momentum's still going to shift to that inside lane. Those fresh tires obviously going to be helping both of these guys a ton. But right now, it still continues to be that 49 over the 72. Thaddeus McMurray about 5 tenths of a second back as I said, contact in the back. James Watson around along with Thaddeus McMurray. We stay green though, both drivers pointing forward and off track, so that's a huge heartbreaker there for Thaddeus. There was in a great position himself, but this continues to be the battle for the lead and for the win here, and it's really kind of turning into a 2-horse race here, because Nick DeGroot's now about 1.3 seconds on back here. So depending on how hard these guys fight, this could be the battle for everything here, unless Nick can get there to spoil the party.
Yeah, definitely very unfortunate there to see them make contact within the last couple laps, but it's going to pretty much lock it in to be a battle just between Jari and Eric here up front.
Yeah, you see Eric trying to pinch that 49 as low as he can, try to keep him uncomfortable. As at the moment here, it looks like Yari's going to hang on to that spot as we're at 2 to go. If they can get to the white flag, it's going to be a race between the two of them. And we do get the white flag, so right now it's 1 to go. Will it be Jari Brupacher? Will it be Eric Schaus? Right now, Yari still got a nose ahead.
Eric's still looking on the outside. Going to be a drag race down the backstretch as they enter into 3 side by side.
Yeah, so Eric's going to have to try to get that little over under, try to keep that Jari pinned to the inside line as they come out of 4. It's going to be Jari Brupacher hangs on to that lead here. He's going to win the race here at Chicagoland. Eric Schaus going to grab 2nd. Nick DeGroot 3rd. Matt Wagner 4th. Eric Peterson going to round out our top 5. And saying those fresh tires and that track position worked perfectly for Jari there at the end. But again, unfortunately, late contact there towards the end with some of our contenders there, and that's definitely a tough break for those guys. But I say for Jari here, definitely what he was looking for, I believe, win number 2 for him in the Area 51 IndyCar Series. So definitely a good finish there for him tonight.
Yeah, definitely Jari and Eric at the end there were ones that looked to seem to capitalize the best on that those cautions and the strategy. So great for them to put themselves in position, and Jari held strong on that inside line. Obviously, we seen a lot of cars trying to make that outside work with that momentum early in the race, but Jari holding strong, holding that bottom, holding the pretty wheel, and getting it done here in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly right. So so you can see, let's say Jari celebrating here. So what we'll do real quick is let's pull up our final results for tonight's event while we watch that number 49. As it's going to be Jari Brupacher over Eric Schaus by 0.03 of a second. Nick DeGroot there in 3rd. And then you got Matt Wagner, Eric Peterson again rounding out our top 5. And then Jeff Heisong, Benjamin Combs, Alec Coates, Joseph Morales, Jim Brooks, our top 10. And then James Watson, Thaddeus McMurray, 11th and 12th. And then from 13th on back, unfortunately, we mentioned Craig Forsyth. To me, the heartbreak of story of the night there, finishing 13th after all said and done. Then you got Mike Gibson, Jim Herrick, Gary Corley, Scott Rankin, and Joseph DeCiro. So, as I mentioned, maybe try to see about what happened with Craig, and Craig actually hopping onto YouTube to give some insight and said, unfortunately, it sounds like possibly a brain fart, according to the driver of that number 27. So, that's a tough one to take there for Craig, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe a faux pas with the pitting sequence and electing to not take fuel on his final stop potentially. So yeah, definitely a bummer, and always tough to take yourself out of it with a mistake like that. I know we've all done it here and there, at all during races like this with big pressure on the line.
Yeah, no, I don't know about you. I've never made mistakes in my career with races. I don't know what you're talking about there, but no, all joking aside though, yeah, and that's the thing, is the heat of the moment, and those things, drivers. I mean, you have to do everything yourself. So we're gonna pull in our 3rd place finisher though here, and that's gonna be Nick DeGroot. And say, Nick, you had a nice points lead coming into tonight, and say just through a little bit of attrition, a little bit of craziness. At some points, it looked like you were going to be kind of in a tough spot there with the fuel strategies, and I'm sure finally that 3rd stop. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Actually, every caution, now that I think about it, getting burned by the untimely caution there. But able to make the most of it to grab that 3rd place here tonight. But I mean, what's going through your mind when you pit and then you see about 5 others that have yet to pit, then that caution comes out and you're not the lucky dog? You're just like, okay, this is not what I was looking for here.
I mean, you think I would have learned the first 2 times it happened in this race to not try the undercut, but yeah, it's like we put ourselves in position, we got the lead, we pitted early for the undercut, as you said, and then boom, caution, and we're having to pass 8 cars to get back to the front and rinse repeat throughout the whole thing. So yeah, we had to pass a lot of cars tonight, so made things interesting, that's for sure. To come away with a podium and a nice little points haul before Indy, that's you know what, I'll take it. I'm happy Yar was able to get a win. He deserves one, and yeah, I'm happy with the podium.
Yeah, I know Gael was saying not often that lightning strikes twice, let alone maybe 3 times, with maybe putting yourself in that position a couple times. But obviously, yeah, passed a lot of cars there throughout the race, and looked pretty good doing it. So I guess what are your thoughts on the championship battle? Is looks like we see Craig Forsyth might have made a faux pas on his final pit there, having to come in and not take the wave around like you did on that final caution. What do you see with the championship battle there?
Yeah, I was looking at that as okay. I'm probably going to have roughly a 20-point lead going into Indy, depending how this finishes, and then he pitted there, um, which I mean it's an easy mistake to make. I've done it before. I should confess, thinking you're on the lead lap because you're so used to seeing the pace car. It's like, oh yeah, I'm on the lead lap, and not that you're a wave around. But yeah, now we're going to Indy. It's a completely different situation where I think we kind of breathe a little bit, focus on just going for the win, which is really nice considering the last few times I've gone to Indy in this series, I've had to sweat over the championship big time to the point where finishing second by 7/1000ths of a second was not enough to win the championship. So it's nice to have a bit of a buffer this time going into Indy so we can really race it out there and have some fun.
Yeah, so it was definitely it's gonna be a different story for you coming to tonight. And you're right though. I mean the points have been so different this season to last. I'll say, and but that's the thing is you've been in the thick of it so many times. So I'll say don't have the updated points yet, but you're right. I mean with you finishing third and then your next closest challenger there being in 13th, I'd say probably a pretty good spot to be in. But yeah, I mean, a great result for you here tonight. Like I said, having to come through from the back to the front numerous times. So I'm sure there's a bunch of drivers that are kind of in the same boat. There's like, all right, when am I going to catch that break that I'm needing here? I guess the only other question is, of course, the late pit strategy there, the pit stop fuel only for you. One of the quickest pit stops for that fuel only stop, 4.3 seconds there. And then you see Craig come out with you guys. Him, I don't know if you're aware or not, but him taking tires there at the end. Did that worry you at all prior to that yellow coming out where it's like, okay, well, it looks like I'm going to be fighting for second or third when he was able to get around you prior to the yellow? Or, I mean, what was the thought process when you guys were kind of fighting to try to be that first car one down?
Yeah, I wasn't aware that he took tires until he made that three wide pass, and I'm like, oh, he took tires. Uh-oh. So good luck passing him now. And looking back on it, it's probably better for me that the caution came out because, yeah, we were going to have a nice little battle for the win, but I don't think I could have beat him with those fresh tires and him hugging the bottom. I mean, you saw at the end of the race, I was struggling just to keep up with people with those old tires. The only reason I got the podium was because James and TJ got into it there. So yeah, I think that was pretty much his race to lose at that moment. But man, one caution changes everything in these championships, and that it did.
Yeah, definitely. We saw as the pits cycled out, most people were not taking tires, but he was able to take tires and stick with the draft, which definitely helped with his handling there. So, but still, great way for you to take advantage of coming through the field multiple times, and like you said, passing a lot of cars, and still able to get the podium there. So big congratulations to you tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys. Looking forward to Indy. It's gonna be a fun one.
All right. Well, before we kick you out, though, Nick, I know you've got some great associates on that car, so I definitely want to give you the floor because it's always good to give them some TV time as well. So definitely want to give you an opportunity here for any thanks and shots I'd like to give for those drivers or the sponsors and teams and such that are able to help you out to get that podium tonight.
Yeah, thank you to everyone at Factory Back Motorsports, CoverMore.com, Motorsport.com, Wegmans Degree Do Hall Detailing, Cowboy Ship, Blaze Pod, and everybody else who supports us. Glad to be able to put them in the hunt for a championship here and hopefully lock it up next week. And that'll be, or next week, I should say. That'll be an interesting.
Great job tonight, Nick. I enjoy this one, and yeah, look forward to seeing you at the finale next week at Indy, man. So good luck on that one next week.
Thank you.
All right, that was our third place finisher, Nick DeGroot. Now we got to grab that second place finisher in that number 72 of Eric Schaus. And Eric, I say Boomer and I were discussing, and I'm pretty sure you were in that. We were talking about like lightning striking twice, and in this case 3 times with those cautions. I want to say you were kind of. I mean, I know you're kind of Mr. Fuel Mileage most of the time. But I think you were in the right place at the right time on those cautions. Every time those cautions fell, was that something that you kind of like, I'm going to run these things as far as I possibly can until I pit from the get-go? Or, I mean, take us through the kind of the pitting strategy you had tonight in that 72 car.
Yeah, I wanted to take that run as long as I could possibly take it. During practice, I tried to do a couple pit stops on a green run, and I realized there is no good brake marker out here. And then also the exit of pit road's pretty slippery if you get up on the groove at all. So I figured there are probably going to be cautions coming in and out of pit road. So let me push this stint as long as I could possibly push it. And sure enough, 3 cautions and right at the end of each stint.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity there for you to kind of capitalize that throughout the race and everything. So it was awesome to see, and definitely makes it easier when you don't have to make your way through the field, and you can just kind of keep that track position all race. So did that seem to help you out quite a bit as the race went on?
Yeah, my whole goal was just to keep with the lead guys. I was running map 5 pretty much the whole race, and just trying to keep with, try to stay top 5 at least, not get more than a second and a half from the leader. Just so that I could always keep that track position and not lose anything to guys that were pitting, or if we did happen to go on a green flag run, that I'd stay up front.
That's pretty impressive. The fact that you're able to run the map 5 there and still hang on with the leaders too. So, I guess the other I think we're going to kind of have a theme here on the field manager side of things. There were a few opportunities there where it looked like it might be right on the edge of, at the initial start of a 3-stop or a 2-stop race, and at one point maybe right on the edge of a 2-stop to a 1-stop race. Were you trying to work those numbers throughout the course of the race there when you kind of got into those yellows at certain times, or were you just kind of playing it by ear and see how far you could go? Just take us through also kind of the fuel mileage calculations on the potential pit strategies.
Yeah, for the first 3 pits there that everybody took, or first 2, either way, I was just running it as long as I could possibly run it. When we were coming up to the last pit stop where we only needed a couple gallons, a lot of guys pitted short. My goal there was to run it as long as I could. I noticed I was only about a 1/10 of a second off of my best lap each lap while I was following people in front of me. So I didn't feel like I was losing too much to guys on fresh tires. So I just wanted to stay out as long as I could, go for an overcut, and then I was going to pit and not take tires, but we ended up having the cautions. So that threw that out the window. I was able to pit, take fresh tires, get my fuel, and then come out right behind Yari.
Yeah, of course. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Boomer. I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah. I was gonna say, definitely gave you an opportunity to be up front there at the end, and you and Yari were 1 and 2. I guess if you wouldn't mind, take us back what your strategy was on after that last restart. There seemed like you were trying to work the high side and try to keep that working to get around Yari there.
Yeah, well, I messed up in the pits. When I went into the pits, I had tires turned off because of the previous strategy. So when I got to my pit box, I had to toggle it on. So that cost me. Otherwise, I think I might have had a chance of coming out in front of Yari, and then I was just going to hug the bottom line. But coming out in second, I was just doing whatever I could to try and time a perfect run, get a little bit of draft coming out of the corner and slingshot past them. But these cars on fresh tires for those first 10, 15 laps are just hooked up, and you can run that bottom line, and he did a great job holding it down tight and not losing any momentum and taking it to the win for himself.
Yeah, so it was a really good battle between the two of you, and like I said, I think if it was a used tire battle at the end, I think maybe a different story there, but still, a great result for you is that you played the strategy to perfection or keep you in contention all race long. So before we let you go, though, definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that runner up here tonight.
Sure. Yeah. Shout out to my wife for her support. She listened to the whole thing on the couch next to me. So thanks to her. Thanks to you guys at the broadcast. Thanks to Area 51 and the admins for putting on these races. And thanks to all the viewers out there.
All right. So yeah, definitely tell Dr. Schaus we say hi as well. So it's always fun to say having her support week in and week out with you when you're able to make these races, Eric. So great job tonight, man. Look forward to seeing you next week at Indy.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right, that leaves us one driver to chat with left, and that is going to be our race winner in that number 49 of Yari Brupacher. Like I said, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is win number 2 for Yari. And I'm trying to go back, Yari. Your last win, I believe, was it Chicagoland as well, or was it maybe a Michigan or an Auto Club? I'm not sure, but I feel like a fairly similar style track here tonight, and you were there all night long, so you played the strategies to perfection. And then the timing of that yellow. What's your reaction when you see that yellow come out when you have yet to make that pit stop?
Yeah, the other one was at Auto Club 2 seasons ago. The yellows caught me out 2 times, first 2 times, and that put me a lap down. Luckily, the first time I got the lucky dog, so didn't cost me much. But the second time, it really put me back down in the field when I got the wave around. So basically decided to learn from these two mistakes and try to go a little longer on the third run. And I would have come to the pits probably the next lap that the last caution fell. So I was a bit lucky there in the end with the cautions.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen a couple people either continued to either get caught by the early cautions, or some people staying out and continuing to ride that. But obviously, changing strategies in the middle was definitely a big win for you. And at the end, gave you that opportunity to come out first and be the leader at the final restart there. I guess take us through what you're thinking during that last run after those last 5 laps to the checkered flag.
Yeah, I thought it was a hard battle. I really enjoyed it. Hard but fair. I tried to push him as far as I could to the outside when we were side by side. He tried to pinch me down to the bottom as much as he could. I just knew if I could hug the white line, then I would probably be good. I was a little afraid of drifting up, maybe, so he could put his nose right underneath me, but managed to keep it on the white line. Was really hugging it 2 or 3 times. I thought it was going to spin because I touched the white line in the corners. Yeah, it was. I was really worried about the restart because that was really the moment you could overtake the leader if you got a good run out of 1 and 2. I think I got a good jump at the restart, so when Eric caught up to me, it was already like 1 lap later or something, and yeah, then it was just hard racing, and luckily I stayed up front.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. That's something we had mentioned on that restarts. Like you said, the leader really is the most vulnerable on those restarts because if they get the time that restart just right, they get that huge run on the backstretch. Man, maybe try to make a move in ring 3 or even clear you in 3. But yeah, you're able to do everything to perfection and to protect it. And like you said, it's not just once you get the lead and hug the bottom, you're not just living on the inside line and all's good in the world. Like I said, it's very easy to kind of just dip a little too low, and these cars very sensitive about that changing and banking. So a great job tonight, Yari, to hang on to that top spot tonight and pull off the win here this evening. So just hats off, man. It was a lot of fun watching you and Eric battle it out. And like you said, great strategy adjustment as well to make it as far as you did on that final run to take advantage of that yellow as well. So just put everything together here tonight. So definitely want to give you the floor, though, before we let you go, Yari. Any thanks and shouts I'd like to give for that win here this evening?
Yeah, once again, thanking everybody participating, thanking the admins and you guys in the booth, and yeah, everybody watching. It's always fun racing here,
Yeah,
especially if you win.
Yeah, that always helps.
Winning always makes it sweeter. So, any special celebrations for tonight?
Not really. It's a little late here already. I gotta get up rather early tomorrow, so it's off to bed now. Celebrating tomorrow then.
Nah, that's fair enough. Yeah, so yeah, of course, Yari, because I'm gonna be running a rough guess here. It's about 4. No, not 4 in the morning. Probably about 2 in the morning over there, or is it 4? 3 in the morning. Okay, I knew it was somewhere in that range. I split the middle, so. Yeah, I love the dedication though. So yeah, it definitely makes it a little bit tough in your sleep schedule, of course. But yeah, always a pleasure to have you over here, Yari. So like I said, hopefully you're able to kind of get yourself settled in a little bit. That way you can get to bed and then do some celebrating tomorrow, man. But yeah, great job tonight, Yari.
Thank you, guys. See you.
All right, Boomer, that's our race winner in that number 49 of Yari Brupacher. And yeah, I mean, we've had a couple times now where our race winners, to say we've had a couple guys. Henry Bennett won as well over in the UK, would run just ridiculously late hours, and so he had to kind of cut it back because it was kind of cutting into some other things for him as well. So, but man, yeah, just a tough race for, I think, for a lot of these guys here tonight. Say just the timing of the yellows really threw a few people for a loop there, and unfortunately they kind of cost a couple guys their pit strategies here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It seemed to be that every one of those cautions just about came from making mistakes in and out of pit road, and yeah, I mean, definitely just maybe even some discipline and making sure that you keep that car in the ground rooted well and don't get on the power too quickly, or you don't hit the brakes too hard. But yeah, definitely made it exciting. Obviously, a couple people. Learned from it and were able to to change their strategy from short pitting to long pitting, and definitely had a different outcome for all three of even our podium drivers tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. And so, as I can give an update on the points going into next week's finale at Indianapolis, and I think is exactly what Nick DeGroot said there. Is they should be feeling a little more comfortable going to that one. He's going to have a 49-point margin over Craig Forsyth, and then Scott Rankin 53 out from the lead. So, I'm not sure if it's enough to lock him as our season champion, because I'm going to look at the points here. And Yari had 59 total points for tonight's race, so I say not enough to lock him in, but I say it could be one of those ones as long as he starts the race and has a clean, incident-free race and just is there at the end, probably enough to clinch him that title. But we've seen crazier things happen over the various seasons here with Area 51. So, yeah, Boomer, thank you so much again. I really appreciate you hopping on here. Looking forward to doing some more broadcasting with you as well. And then Steve, as always, definitely miss you, man. Look forward to hopefully we get you back for the finale as well. So definitely been thinking of you as well. But yeah, Boomer, appreciate you hopping on and look forward to doing this some more here.
Yeah, definitely. It's been fun even in these first 2 weeks here, and looking forward to see if Nick DeGroot can hang on and get that championship next week, or even if we can see Craig or Scott throwing in there and try to battle it out for either second or something crazy. But it's been a blast so far. Appreciate the opportunity, Gael. Love working with you so far, and really excited for next week's finale at this season.
And of course, appreciate everybody that's watching and supporting us here on Green White Checker TV. Saw you over here a little bit earlier, Todd and Jack. I always love to see you guys. Prefer seeing you guys on track, but always appreciative as well to have you guys up watching us as well when you can't make these races. So thank you guys as always for watching, supporting us, and of course everybody else that's been watching. And if you're watching, don't be shy. Feel free to jump in the chat as well. We always try to keep engage with our viewers here as well. So it makes it a lot of fun to do. So hope you all enjoyed the race here tonight. We'll be back on Thursday evening for the Super Speedway Truck Series. So I believe they will be back at Daytona for race number 3 of 4 in their playoffs. And then again on Sunday night for the Super Speedway Xfinity Series at Daytona as well. So until then, hope you all have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. And until next time, have a good night all.